Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of the Anti-Defamation League.
And I am so moved to look out at this crowd, to see so many children and families, rabbis and ministers, Jews and non-Jews alike, all come together to say with clarity that New York is no place for hate. At the ADL, we've been fighting anti-Semitism for over 100 years. We've been tracking these incidents for over 40 years. And we've seen what's happened in this city, the surge of anti-Semitism in recent years, and it's terrifying. Across the country, anti-Semitic incidents have doubled in the last 3 years. And in New York City, New York State, we've seen a 55% increase in 2018, and I think it will be bigger in 2019. And I don't really even have to tell you the statistics, because if you are Jewish and you are in this crowd, you've heard about what's happening in our high schools, what's happening in our college campuses, on the streets of Brooklyn, in our homes in Muncie, and it's got to stop. Now, our team has been there working with the victimized every step of the way, because make no mistake, I might not be up here today in a long coat or wearing a black hat, but those are my Jewish brothers and sisters. These are members of my family. You see, whether you're Satmar or Hasidic, Orthodox or Reform, observant or unaffiliated, Jews of color or Jews by choice, we are all a Jewish people. Am Yisrael Chai. And so we've got to call out anti-Semitism wherever it happens, whether it's Times Square or the New York Times, whether it's at a university or whether it's at a school board meeting, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's the House of Representatives or your own house. So why is it on the rise? Look, we've seen anti-Semitism been normalized when elected officials claim that Jews use their money to control Congress, when they blame our country's problems on the globalists, when they accuse Jews of invading their towns. We need a zero-tolerance policy on intolerance, and it needs to start now. Second, it's social media. Look at Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. We all use those services, but with a click or a swipe, you can find the kind of horrifying anti-Semitism that would make the Nazis proud. All because those companies' business models depend on those swipes and those clicks, but it needs to end. Silicon Valley needs to step up and expel the anti-Semites. And third, it's a lack of honesty. Anti-Semitism comes from all sources, but for too long, people have been unwilling to admit it. But we've got to acknowledge anti-Semitism even when it happens on our own side. And look, as someone who worked in the Obama White House, I can tell you, we have a problem with anti-Semitism on parts of the left. The casual demonization of the Jewish state leads to the demonization of the Jewish people. And whether or not that's intentional, it's got to stop. And we have a problem with the anti-Semitism on the extreme right. The wild conspiracy theories and the white supremacists. Some refuse to deal with that, but just look at Pittsburgh, look at Poway, see how dangerous it can be. And we have a problem with anti-Semitism coming in some minority communities. We cannot ignore the evil of systemic racism. We cannot ignore the pain of some socioeconomic conditions, but there's no excuse for the bigotry of low expectations. And no one in the world should think it's acceptable to attack someone because of how they dress or how they daven. And so while there are only a small number of people committing these crimes, we need large numbers of people to say, Dayenu, enough. And that's why I am so proud to introduce my friend and a true partner in the fight against hate and violence across New York City, Pastor Gil Monrose. He has worked in close collaboration with ADL's New York office and our director, Evan Bernstein. He has fostered dialogue between communities. He has focused on the fight against gun violence. And he has helped to expand the effort to address intolerance in Brooklyn, working together with Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. That's why we're bringing No Place for Hate to 10,000 more students in Brooklyn. He's the founding president of the 67th Precinct Clergy, the God Squad. He's a pastor at Mount Zion Church of God in Brooklyn, and he's the director of faith-based initiatives for the borough. He's a leader, he's a teacher, he's a friend to the Jewish people. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Pastor Gil Monrose.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.